21 feet, that's the distance I'm walking from that line all the way up to the camera. I'm Michael Bane, and this is The Best Defense. That number, 21 feet, looms large in self-defense lore because over that distance, a determined aggressor can get to you in a little less than a second and a half, the amount of time it might take you to access your gun.
Hey man, how's it going?
Hey dude, hey, stop, get back dude.
Hey,
what do you have in your hand?
What's your problem, man?
Back up, what's in your hand? Stop, get away from me! Get away from me!
The scenario you just saw is our take on the Tueller Drill, or as it's often known, the 21-foot rule. Unfortunately, the 21-foot rule has been misinterpreted. In many cases, people believe that within 21 feet, somebody's armed with a knife, you're justified in shooting them. It's as simple as that. But there's a lot more to it, isn't there, Mike?
Well, yeah, when you look at the fact that we're talking about 21 feet, distance is the thing that everybody focuses on, but distance equates to time. So, you know, the rule came about when we were testing, and a lot of people misinterpreted it as, hey, if this person is more than 21 feet away, I have time to draw my handgun. But that's in a situation where it's a perfect range setup, and you know that as soon as something happens, like a whistle blows or a target faces, you're going to draw your handgun and shoot. The second thing it doesn't account for is stopping power. You know, granted, maybe, and I did in our particular scenario, get several shots off. You know, we know that handgun calibers are not necessarily known for their stopping power, so whether or not my bullets will have effect on targets and stop that person before they can get close enough to shoot me or stab me, who knows?
And one of the interesting things to take into consideration also is the only reason we started at 21 feet is because you were able to pick up on the pre-incident indicators. You stopped me at 21 feet because you saw hidden hands. My hand was behind my leg.
Right.
You were able to pick up on that, and that's what allowed us to start at that distance. A real knifer, somebody who's comfortable using a knife on other people, is going to work on his terms. It's going to be you taking a gun to a knife fight. That's very different. But by adding some empty hand skills into the situation, you can really up the ante as far as your odds of survival. Let's see what that looks like. Hey man, how's it going?
Hey, back up, dude.
What? What's your problem,
in your hand?
man? Hey,
back
chill,
up.
man.
What's your hands? Just get away from me! Don't move!
You know, Mike, one of the things I've always enjoyed about training with you is the fact that you're not a gun guy. You truly understand the importance of combatives, the importance of empty hand skills, and really putting it together as a total package. And that really shined in this last scenario.
In that particular case, you know, I had the gun in action, I got a couple shots off, and it's not stopping the threat. So my option is to do the mutual trade-off where I'm shooting you and you're cutting me, which is not a good option,
Not a good trade.
or to go to some sort of defensive solution, and initially trying to protect my head and then parrying that knife off the line of attack and then utilizing that weapon as a strike. Now, most people might think that I'm not going to stick that gun out there because you can grab that gun, but the point is this hand is occupied doing something else. And what we're going to find out when we test some of this stuff on the range is we can do actual strikes with weapons, and they're not always going to go out of battery like you might think.
What was beautiful about that is you also took into consideration a lot of the stuff from a knifer's perspective or somebody who's trained in knives. When you deflected that, you used the back of the forearm, doesn't leave the inside of the forearm vulnerable, so you protect all your tendons. You did everything perfectly, and what you did was you used good body mechanics to be able to strike with power with the pistol.
Right.
But one of the interesting things about the way we've looked at the scenario so far, although there's been a little bit of footwork, not too much. The more mobility that you add into the situation, the higher your chances of survival. Let's see how that works. Hey man, how's it going?
Hey dude, hey, stop, get back dude.
Hey,
what do you have in your hand?
What's your problem, man?
Back away, what's in your hand?
Problem? What's your
back
problem?
away from me!
What's your problem?
Get away, get away, get away! No, get away! Get away from me! Get away now! So mobility is king, and this time I used a little bit of mobility. Nothing complicated, just some simple running, sprinting offline to an obstacle or piece of cover, and it worked out pretty well for me. What do you think about that?
What was interesting also was that you ran to your right. When you figure that the vast majority of the people out there are right-handed, when you move to your right, if I'm attacking with my right hand, you're moving away from that weapon. It's going to keep you safer, it's going to give you more options, it's going to make it harder for me to reach you. It's also great that you moved to cover. If I happen to have a firearm, you were positioned to be able to defend against that as well as the edge weapon. Basically, it gave you all the options you could possibly hope for in that situation. The more that you put all those pieces together, the more that you add mobility into the equation, the better off you're going to be. And that's your best defense.
When facing an individual armed with a contact weapon, such as a knife or a club or even a beer bottle, the key element to consider is the element of opportunity. Can the person use that weapon against you, or does he have the opportunity to use that weapon before you can defend yourself? You need to be able to articulate why you knew that he could close that distance within a heartbeat or so and stab you or hit you in the head with the contact weapon. Then, can you document the fact that you knew that? If it's not documented, you probably don't get to introduce that knowledge in court. The concept is called the Tueller Drill. It is a standard in police training, and now it's working itself out into the civilian training academies, and that is where most students learn about the Tueller Drill, is in a legitimate training course. The armed citizen is well served by having done the Tueller Drill himself and having that documented in a formal training course.
One of our overriding themes this season is that self-defense is a continuum. It may start awareness, avoidance, empty hand skills, weapons, all the way to firearms, but you need to understand that continuum. You need to understand what your options always are. It may not be simple enough that if somebody's standing over there across the street 21 feet away, you can pull out your gun and shoot that person. Or it may be that you're not going to have time to access your guns at all, and you need other skills. Lesson to be learned: other skills are every bit as important as shooting skills. I'm Michael Bane. Stay safe.